is Edward. I'm from Maryland County. I grew up in Monrovia. My father was Councilor E.Y. Appleton Sr. My mother was Rose Head Williams. I attended the Cathedral High School in Monrovia as part of my formative years, where I spent many years. I also attended the Lutheran Training Institute in Lofa County, where I graduated from high school. I attended the CWA Junior College briefly and the University of Liberia briefly before the war, and I had the opportunity to live abroad. I have a bachelor's degree in information systems. I also pursue higher education. I have a master's degree in public administration and also a master's degree in project management. I consider myself a business strategist. I'm also a philanthropist. As part of my life, I contribute a lot to help ordinary people. I'm deeply interested in the leadership of this country. I believe with good leadership, Liberia will be on the path to economic growth, prosperity, and development. So I'm very open to have a debate to provide our vision for transformation of how we can rebuild this country and provide for our people so that everyone can live a good quality of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next candidate, candidate Alan R. Brown Jr. He looks like Deputy Minister of Family. Yeah.
Really? Okay. So I'm Alan Roosevelt Brown Jr. I was born in Bomi Hills, July 24th, 1961. I grew up on the old road. I went to school on the old road at the American School, ACS. When I graduated, I went to college at St. Joseph's University. I graduated with a degree in accounting. I was 20 years old at the time. I returned to Liberia. My entire life I've been in the private sector. And this is my first time either pursuing or getting involved in public service. Professionally, I've worked in Ivory Coast, I've worked in Cameroon, I've worked in Togo, and I've been involved in business with interest in other African countries. In 2003, when the former president, Charles Taylor, left Liberia, I came back into the country and I invested in real estate and hospitality. At the time, I was the chief executive officer of Beneficial Life Insurance Company with responsibility for Cameroon, Togo, and Ivory Coast. I invested millions of dollars in this economy with the urban hotels as well as the urban financial center. And we employed so many Liberians. Throughout my life, I've employed thousands of Liberians, specifically because they were Liberians. And I've helped with philanthropy and charity in Ivory Coast and Cameroon and even in the United States of America. One of the first encounters I had with our president, George Weah, was actually with him helping refugees in Ivory Coast, 1998, 1999, when I was doing the same thing. So, hello, are you there? Yeah. When I was doing the same thing, and though I didn't meet him back then, but I know about him because he was helping, and I was also helping. With respect to the debates, I just want to be on record that I have already said that I will be attending each and every debate whenever I'm asked to come, unless I'm out of the country. But as long as I'm here in Liberia, it means I have to break my schedule. I'll be attending the debates. And the reason why is because I believe that the Liberian people must hear the platforms of each and every candidate so that they're able to make an informed decision respect to the platform and the individual. I'm looking forward to this particular debate. I want to thank the organizers and those of you in the press and the audience who are here today. It is important, and I believe that subsequent debates after this one, I think that more people will get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person, wherever you position the mark and the quality is good, just keep it like that. Thank you, candidate Allen R. Brown Jr. of the Liberia Restoration Party. The next candidate.
My name is Tiawa C. Gonglo. I'm a lawyer and an economist. I've been an activist for a long time, from school days, going to jail at the age of 22, under President Albert, arguing and advocating for removal of one-party state through the Movement for Justice in Africa and the Student Unification Party. As a lawyer, I've been a human rights lawyer for most of my life. There are many people in this room who my work has helped. I've been an advocate for good governance, and I've documented myself in government. I worked with the Amos Sawyer government for 4 years as his executive assistant, attending all the peace conferences with him, writing his speeches, arranging his meetings. I worked as Solicitor General for 3.5 years, and Minister of Labor for 1.5 years. I've been president of the Bar Association of Liberia. I'm a transformer, and everywhere I work, my mark is there. Justice Ministry, the Bar, the Labor Ministry. I have some international experiences as well. I was member gladly of the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission in South Africa in 1994, where I was a UNV coordinator in Eastern Cape. I was a Carter Center electoral consultant for dispute resolution in Ethiopia. In 2005, 2008, I observed election in Ghana. In 2004, I was a WEB Du Bois Fellow at Harvard. And in 2005, a Carter Center Fellow for Human Rights Policy, where I met Samantha Powell, who is now the Global USAID Director, Romeo Dalia, and a former member of the British Parliament, Rory Stewart, a good friend of mine who now teaches at Yale University. I'm in this race because Albert Einstein said the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. I believe Liberia is in a great need of someone who can spearhead the transformation of Liberia and change its direction. That's why I'm in this race. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tiawanse Gonglo of the Liberia People's Party. The next candidate.
Good morning. My name is David Kiamu. I'm the political leader for the Democratic People's Party of Liberia. I was born 1966, May 13, in Buchanan, and I grew up in Buchanan and Monrovia. I am the father of 4 adult children. I also have a master's degree in theology. I'm a lecturer in theology. I also have worked as a teacher in agriculture. I have served as Africa Director for church planting, and I've had jurisdiction over 28 African countries for the past 14, 15 years. I am the founder of the Evangelical Free Churches of West Africa, and I am the executive director of the Center to Promote the Implementation of the TRC recommendations in Liberia. I am in this race because in 2008 and 2009, I visited the beautiful country of Hong Kong and impressed with the development of that country, I asked my host, what's the secret behind the development of your country? And here is what he told me. He said, this country, when the British people were here, they helped us to build this country on honesty as our foundation, integrity, accountability, excellence in what we do. The British people left, but they left the values with us. They went to Africa and they gave Jesus to Africa, but they didn't teach Africans accountability, integrity, and all of that. In as much as it sounded derogatory, he was saying the reality. And when I came back home, looking at my country, I see that we are a country with no foundation. Countries that strive, that thrive in this generation, in this world, are countries that are built on foundations of honesty, accountability, excellence, integrity, character. And I want to put myself forth as one of the leaders in this country who will help to get our country built on the foundations that are helping other countries to thrive. So I am candidate number 8, and I want you all to join me so that we can begin the work of relaying the foundation of this country on honesty, accountability, integrity, respect for the rule of law, and respect for the dignity of other people. I feel I have what it takes to lead our country into building the foundation that we need so that we thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate. Gentleman, Mac. One. Thank you, candidate David Cameron of the Democratic People's Party of Liberia. Next candidate.
Good morning. Good morning to all. My name is Reverend Alexander Novakoli. I was born in Sarala district, specifically Jaman Camp 2, at the rubber plantation called Sarala Rubber Corporation. And I attended the school, SRC, moved to Kulahong, specifically Balahong Public School. I attended Balahong Public School. And then I moved to Kakata, attended PRRT Demonstration School. And then moved into Monrovia, attended the Oral and Horton School. Is no longer in existence. Our problem, some of our problem we have. Attended the Nibo Junior High School. And then ended my high school at the Monroe College, where I was able to graduate with honors. After that, I was also able to attend the Baptist Seminary from 97 to 99, but I had to go to the United States for further education. But I do hold a bachelor's degree in the Bible, and I'm a candidate for graduate at the Walden University School of Nurse Practitioner. I am a acute care nurse practitioner, and I'm also a certified diabetes outpatient educator. I am a founder of a scholarship called the Liberian Educational Alliance Fund, where we help a lot of people. And currently I am the political leader of the Reformers National Congress. But in addition, just to know, I'm also a member of the prestigious Walden University National Society of Leadership and Success, of which you have people like Al Roker of the NDC, even Anderson Cooper. They are all members of that group. We are here today because we are concerned about our nation, Liberia. We see that there are a lot of things. Albert Schweitzer said, example is not a main thing in influencing others. Example is the only thing. And that's why we bring to this table. A few months ago, I went around my neighborhood and I asked about 50 young people, when you grow up, who do you want to become? Shockingly, everyone said they want to become someone who is outside of Liberia. So I want to be that leadership. I want to be that example. That's why in our party we say, reformers, stand up and the nation will follow. We need examples in government, example in every form of in private sector, example in our healthcare, and my administration will bring example to government and governance. I'm a trustworthy person, I'm a sincere person, I will bring transparency to government, and I'm a listener. And my number is number 9, I'm distracted. No wonder why I will redeem Liberia. Number 9 in the Bible is the number for fruitfulness. We will make Liberia fruitful again. Number 9 in maternity is the 9 I give birth. And we will give a new purpose.
Thank you. Thank you so much, candidate Alexander and Corley from the Reformers National Congress. We will advise that you please stick to the time, because when the 3 minutes is gone, we will ask you to turn the microphone forward. Next candidate.
Good morning, fellow Liberians. My name is Sheikh Ali Mustafa Buyat, representing Liberian young people, those who have been street seller for the vendors on the street. I'm representing Liberia. Can I continue?
Go ahead. 1, 2.
So stop now. Once again, my name is Sheikh Ali Mustafa Buyat, representing Liberia First Movement, a movement grounded on 4 pillars: reconciliation, empowerment, accountability, and development. The reason for which this movement was created was to pursue the establishment of what the Economic Crime Code. I'm age 44, but December 25th, or I shall be 45. I'm married to the most beautiful one I've seen 21 years ago, blessed with 8 children. I always refer to myself as a student because I believe that the best education is one who always thinks he knows nothing. But however, I graduated from Monrovia College. I have my alma mater by me here. I also graduated from EMI Zion University, and also a senior student at the University of Liberia. And I also attended international seminars. These elections, this debate, is meant to showcase ourselves to our people. What do we represent? Who we are. I am representing Liberia First Movement, an institution I believe that is a grassroots institution. I was once a cowboy, you call it late, in Ghana. I was one a street seller in Monrovia. And I'm also among people who are referred to as minority, even though that disagree that I'm not for the minority group, because I'm a Mandingo. Any other tribes are also known to be one. And then I'm very proud that I'm one of the founding members of the ruling party, the CEC, where I disengaged the political party when I realized that the vision for which it was created, that was not the intent of the government. I left that the party when she had won the election. Fellow Liberians, I've come with my open hands. Every one of us here today, and those who are not here, we are all privileged to be selected among the 5.4 million Liberians to represent you in these elections. We are not the best in these elections, you are the best. The decision of making great leaders rely on you, the Liberian people. Our job is to showcase ourselves, and that is why we are here today. Thank you. God bless Liberia.
Thank you. Candidate Sheikh A. Koyate from the Liberia First Movement. Next candidate.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very proud to be here sitting on the platform with other people who want to really try to transform this country. My name is Dr. Clarence Muniba. I always start off by saying that I'm the proud son of the former Vice President of Liberia, Dr. Harry Muniba. And of course, my beautiful mother, Milita Muniba. Grew up in Liberia, first went to J.J. Roberts and then School of Prime Systems. But everybody understands when the war came, a lot of us had to leave, a lot of people had to leave. Lived in Sierra Leone for a few years, went to school there, and then ultimately ended up in the 'the United States. While in the U.S., I ended up becoming a professional American football player. I ended up becoming a movie, I acted in Hollywood movies for several years. But my entire life changed when my father died in 2004. That's when I made the commitment to be one of the people to transform Liberia. Since then, I've been blessed to have gotten an education. I have 2 masters and a PhD, one in government, another one in public administration from Harvard University. I have my PhD in rhetoric and political professional communications. I've also worked at the international arena, serving as a consultant to the World Bank, consultant African Development Bank, and consultant to the United Nations. I've worked at the Liberian Embassy in Washington, D.C. I've served as Minister of State with my portfolio, being the youngest cabinet member under the previous administration. I've served as chairman of LEC, where I'm proud to say I helped to negotiate hundreds of millions of dollars to Liberia, including the Mount Coffee Hydro, where I was on the team that went to secure the $250 million. I led the negotiation for the new airport terminal, which brought in $50 million from the Chinese. I've also construction from the African Development Bank's project in the southeast. I oversaw the negotiation for the Lofa Road, which is being constructed right now. The ELW to Coca-Cola Road. We were able to secure that funding in 2016 when I also served as head of the President's Delivery Unit. So I say all of this to say that I'm proud that I've negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars to Liberia. I'm also proud to say that not one single person would ever say that Dr. Clarence Munawa took one single dollar in thank you money or in bribe money. We worked on projects such as the White Plains Water Facility Plan, where again I oversaw implementation. And so again, I'm proud of the work I've done, but I continue to tell people that our future tomorrow in Liberia must be better than what we have today, and that's why I'm running. I also feel like I represent the new generation of this country, where 85% of the people in this country are under the age of 45. So I'm very proud of what we are doing. Everybody here in Liberia, but we just have to believe that we deserve better and we need to raise the bar. We can no longer continue to vote for somebody because they are popular. We should no longer continue to vote for somebody because they've been around for long time.
Thank you,
Very proud of it.
Monoba. Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence Monoba, Liberian National Union. Next candidate.
Thank you very much. I am Liberia, Johnny Yofi. I'm a law. I'm a family man. I'm married with 4 children. Educationally, I hold a master's degree in international business law. I also hold a bachelor's degree in general law from the Louis Anderson School of Law. As a matter of fact, my master's was from the Tilburg University in the Netherlands. I am also a candidate for a master's degree in public administration at the University of Liberia. I graduated from the William B. Tottenham High School, but I always love to mention my elementary school because that's the school that opened my eyes to education. The Rich and Navy Institute, Capital Backpack. I have few work experience. I began at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as Assistant Chief Accountant. But later on, I had to migrate to the General Auditing Commission because I was interested in fighting corruption. And I worked with the General Auditing Commission as Supreme Auditor for a few years. And subsequently was promoted to the post of legal analyst to the Auditor General, then John Molu. But because I was interested in legal practice and being supported by the American Bar Association while I was in law school, I had to migrate to work for the American Bar Association at the trainer for a few years. And then later I went to work with the Liberian National Bar Association as the first executive director. And subsequently, I went into private because I love to help people. And most of the legal work I've done are all pro bono services because I love to help people. So I'm Dr. Luther and Yogi, I'm a fair area, the master rebuilder, and we want to rebuild Liberia in every way. There is a parable that I have coined. Build fire for a man, and he will be warm for a single day. Teach the man how to build fire, and he will be warm for the rest of his life. The Liberian Rebuilding Party has come to teach the Liberian people how to build fire so that we can be warm for the rest of our lives. And in order to do that, we have to rebuild our country in 4 different ways.
Thank you, candidate Yofi. Thank you. We'll be very time conscious. That's the only way we can move this thing forward. You want to clap for all of the candidates? Please clap for them. Please clap for them. At least we can now talk a little bit about each of the candidates because they've said it about themselves. I also wanted to remind all of you that journalism and media work in Liberia is evolving. Don't be surprised that tomorrow, Friday or Monday, institutions will be doing a fact check of some of the things you will be saying here today. I wanted to remind you because we have fact checkers. So when you say something, you think you've said it and you will go with it, boom, before you realize somebody will be fact checking. We'll move into the trending issues, we call them. The issues we will be discussing here today, and each of the candidates will have 5 minutes to talk about each of these thematic areas. First, let's talk about the economy. I don't know whether any of you sitting here will agree that our economy is okay. Well, that's there for you. But if you think the economy is not okay, what would you do as president of Liberia to help our economy grow? The first candidate is candidate Edward Appleton. 5 minutes. What will be your economic policy? How will our economy improve? Honor your leadership.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It is evident that our national economy, as you stated, is in the opposite direction. We have an agrarian economy, and which means that through farming, most of the people in Liberia are farmers. 70% of the people depend on farming, and we see that creates almost 30,000 to 60,000 jobs, but that sector is not developed. So as part of our strategy, we have to do a complete assessment of our national economy. We also have to look at our national debt, the way we borrow money. Over the past few years, we see that we are continually borrowing more money. We cannot generate sufficient revenue internally to fund public services. So we have to invest in many sectors as opposed to borrowing more money and putting ourselves into debt. You agree that at some point during the administration of President Seli, we did reach the high indebted poor country point, and about 4 million debt was waived. And within the span of 12 years to 16 years, we now have a national debt of at least $2 to $3 billion. So we have to take actions internally to generate more revenue and improve our economy, which includes job creation. We have to reassess some of the concession agreements that we have to see how well they are functioning and performing and see what kind of jobs we are creating for our people. We also have to look at other sectors. For example, the blue economy. The World Bank and IMF and other international organizations have done empirical studies and found that developing countries can improve their economies by investing in the blue economy. For example, fisheries. That's an area to create jobs and generate revenue that will assist us to fund some of our public projects. So that means we have to look at our fishermen. We have to reinvest and reevaluate the Commission on Fisheries to ensure that we can empower those people who are involved in that sector. Liberians, of course, not Chinese. Most of our fishermen don't have the equipment, boats, for example, to go beyond 1 nautical mile. They have to go at least 5 nautical miles to find the crown jewel of fish, lobster, which can be sold here and some can be exported. We also have to take actions, for example, to invest in tourism. We have almost 580 kilometers of beaches. Our tourist infrastructure is underdeveloped. That is the source of government revenue. We can generate revenue from tourism if we can organize it, evaluate it, we can create jobs, and we can boost our gross domestic product. Another sector, key sector, is our agriculture sector. We have to ensure that we can find our farmers, we can train our farmers, we can move beyond the agrarian farming into using machinery to speed up production, to grow more food, to teach them new skills in terms of farming, to provide seeds. Most of what is produced in the country are for consumption, and a whole lot of them get rotten and spoiled because we don't have storage facilities. That is a good area of investment as well. So the serious government has to look at these sectors to ensure that we can improve the national economy. We will be able to generate revenue, and we will depend less on foreign funding. 55% of our revenue in this country is based on foreign funding. We are not able to generate revenue internally from all of these sectors that other countries are investing in. The state of Hawaii depends completely on tourism. Why not Liberia, with our fine and beautiful beaches? So these actions will take to ensure that we can
Thank
improve our national
you.
economy.
You've exhausted the 5 minutes. Thank you so much. The economy on an Allen Arrow Brown Jr.'s government.
All right, thank you so much.
5 minutes.
Thank you so much. The first thing I want to do is use this time to distinguish myself from the rest of the platforms. I'm on record to say that our greatest asset is our human resource capacity, meaning that it's not the minerals, it's not the gold, the diamond, it's we, the people of Liberia, and I'm interested in building our people. The economy presents such an opportunity, but not the only opportunity. So let's start with the feeding. Most people in this country wake up in the morning, they don't know exactly how they're going to eat. I know this because I'm involved with the food ministry. We've been feeding people for years. Along with Pinky Bema, she is the incoming senator for Bum County. We fed over 100,000 people. As I speak today, she's on the road going to feed more people. And we've been feeding young kids. It's expanded to the parents because people are that hungry. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is an example of a president who fed his people in the Great Depression. So it's not something that's unheard of. With respect to the economy, the next thing after feeding, I'm going to make our people landlords. That means that each family, I'm talking specific policy, which distinguishes me from every other platform. So when I speak about making each family that as a Liberian you should be entitled to becoming a landlord, what is the policy? The policy is that the property that you will be given is not for free, you have to pay for it. But you don't have to worry about that because there will be the financing that will be provided for it. So the ground floor is going to be built, that foundation to take 4 floors on top of that ground floor. The ground floor is where you live. The first floor is the investment property that will pay the bills a management company will run it. You can go up 3 floors. It transforms completely the lives of each and every Liberian. It moves you from becoming a tenant to becoming a landlord. It makes our people, it forces us to become a middle income country. So that's the first thing. It's far-reaching. Now they have governments. I think in Libya and Singapore, what they have done, they've been able to put their people in homes as a policy. But we can no longer play catch-up anymore. We've got to think ahead and we've got to get ahead. The way to do that is precisely what I'm saying: become landowners. Then after I make you landowners, there's a company, I know, an international company. They do business development and source financing. I'm going to bring them to Liberia. We're going to get 50 young people from each county, that's 750 people. We're going to put them in a training program for business development. Then we're going to finance them. When we finance them, we're going to spread them across every single sector of our economy. And then we're going to unleash them to set the Liberian economy ablaze. What that means is that it transforms the economy and it makes our people very competitive. When I'm done with that, I'm going to get into the private sector. 100 individuals from each county. We're going to train them in all the different ministries. That's 1,500. We're going to train them in all the different ministries. And then they'll go from bureau to agencies. After that, we're going to, for about 30 months after that, we're going to send them to all the different parts of government. And this is important. What it does, it transforms. You transform the private sector, you transform the government, the public sector. And these are very, very novel things. Now, did you guys know that there are more microprocessors in a computer chip process annually than there are grains of rice? So what am I saying? I'm saying that Liberia has to become a technological giant. I am going to be focused on building our brains. We have it. We just haven't utilized it. We've just underdeveloped it. So in order for us to be a technological giant, which is the way of the future, I'm going to be focused on education that'll be geared towards technology and that'll help our people. It'll force the international and multinational companies to come into Liberia because we will have what they are looking for. Now, look, I have so many things to say about the economy. What I do want you to do is to go to Allen Brown, Liberia, or Africa. You can Google it.
Thank you, Candidate Brown. Thank you so much, Candidate Allen Brown. 5 minutes. Candidate Tewon Sengongo, what will you do differently? How will your administration work to boosting the Liberian economy?
Thank you very much. No economy can develop, thrive, and progress without rule of law. So I'm going to make Liberia a strong rule of law environment that will create an environment for us to engage in economic activities. And what do I intend to do? My policy will be, as President Tupper had, import substitution and export promotion. That is what will change our balance of trade. We'll earn more money from abroad than we will send abroad. We will go in our era of comparative advantage. That is the things we produce here. So I'm going to decentralize the economy. I'm going to give an incentive, several incentives, including tax incentive, dropping corporate tax for any company that establishes a factory 50 miles away from Monrovia. And it will be on an incremental basis. To the extent that if your factory is established in Barclayville or Maryland or Vandermont, Harper or Vandermont, you'll be paying very low corporate tax. But what it would do is that when you employ, for example, 1,000 persons in Barclayville, those people will pay income tax to government. So government tax base will be expanded. There will be a multiplier effect with that type of policy, that type of investment, because the employees will then pay rent to house owners, real estate owners. They will get income which will be taxed by government. They will also purchase things around them. The fact that there's income in the local area, people will invest. We've seen this before. President Topper established Lipsuko, a sugar producing company in Harper, and it caused people to leave from Monrovia to go and work. And then Vampla in Greenville Sound will employ a lot of people. There's a social aspect of that. When you have jobs created all over the country, it reduces the massive role of immigration that then causes young people to come to Monrovia when they don't have jobs. They engage in taking jobs, learn by their friends, and then they become criminals. We intend to also emphasize liberalization in the economy. Article 7 of the Constitution calls for that. That Liberians must be given the opportunity to participate in the economy, to have maximum participation in the economy. Would that be like it's been done now? So, first day in office, I will say clearly to ministers and heads of agency, nobody will buy foreign-made furniture. We are about the highest order of forestry in West Africa. 43% of the tropical species are here. So we give job to our Liberian carpenters, not foreign carpenters. The only Liberian-made furniture will be used in government ministries and agencies, and anybody who violates that will be dismissed by me immediately. We want the money to stay right here. We'll do the same thing for every area that we have. We encourage investors to invest in industries that will use natural rubber to produce gloves, tires, and other things that are made out of natural rubber, so that we make more money, more of our money stays here rather than going abroad. This is what we're going to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidate Sewak Gonglo. Next candidate Kamon, the economy.
What will the economy look like? I started first with the story about my experience in Hong Kong, where my host in Hong Kong said their nation was thriving because they have honest people in business, honest people in the workplace, people with integrity, people who are held accountable, disciplined people. So here's what I will do first. Create an economic management team that's going to be filled with professional people who are just not people with capacity, but people who have character. Our problem in this country is not that we don't have qualified people with capacity, intellectual capacity. Most of the qualified people we have with intellectual capacity, they just don't have character. They just don't have integrity. So under a David Cameron-led government, we will find the professional people who have capacity, but who also have character. In the event that we have people with character who don't have the capacity, we will build them up so that they have the character and the integrity they need. We are not going to be raising rats, then we ask cats to come to be security for the rats. You know, cats like rats. So you can't be taking crooks who are intellectually okay, but they lack morals, and you allow them to oversee your management of your economy. The next thing I'm going to do is I will make sure I strengthen all of our integrity institutions. We will strengthen them.
will clean them up. We are going to make sure that our law enforcement arms of government, they work very well, so that these people with capacity but lack integrity, when they begin to take our finances, they will be disciplined. I will strengthen the integrity institutions. But thirdly, what we will do is we will reintroduce the free economic zone policy. And we will prefer to bring in companies that will respect our dignity as a people, and they will open factories here to create jobs so that our people who have capacity and character will be able to work. More jobs will be created when we announce this free economic zone thing, and people will be employed. We do have natural resources, and that's the fourth thing I'm going to turn to, that we will focus on developing our domestic revenue generation. And when we begin to raise more money through our minerals, through giving professional people our capitals and business and all of that opportunity to make money, we will be generating money into this economy. But you see, when we raise all of this money, they will be managed by people who have capacity but who also have character. To manage our economy, I am going to make sure that we take it very serious, that we have people with character, not crooks, in our economic management area or zones. And I think when we begin to build our economy on people who have capacity but also have character, and we strengthen these institutions, jobs will be created, they will be protected, and we will have an economy that will thrive. That's the foundation that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Cameron. Next candidate, Alexander N. Colley. The economy on Alexander Colley's presidency.
Well, under the Colley led government, so the economy is not strange to us. It's not a new concept. It's something that we have. In fact, we have institutions that have been, allocated for by the government of this republic to help with our economy. But why are we considered the 10th poorest country in the world? So it means those institutions are not functioning. So before we go into doing other things, we need to first look at those institutions that are being set aside to deal with that. And so we will make sure we have competent people in those institutions. And we see that even in our government today, we see probably 75 to 85% of our employees in this country are being employed by government. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the government is using most of our money on salaries. So we've seen for over 176 years of independence and over 200 years of existence, we have nothing to show because priorities are not built on creating good businesses and economic development projects. We don't have those. So we're going to revisit that and make sure we have people that are being employed. Development, create, we have the Ministry of Public Works. We work for Liberian people. But how do we do that? There are several things we do. First of all, we create tax incentives for businesses. Even visa for investors. Let's revisit our visa programs to see how our investors can come in here and invest in our country. But when we do that, we also will be able to be mindful that we don't leave our fellow Liberians out. We're going to have one of the major part of our platforms. We have job creation and putting Liberia on the global market again. Madam Seri said, Liberia is not a poor country. Liberia is just managed poorly. And I believe that. Liberia is not a poor country. And as we go on, we'll give you some facts that will buttress that. So with that fact in mind, and I said earlier, I believe I'm a very strong believer of being an example. That's what I said earlier. Albert Schweitzer said, example is not the main thing in influencing others. Example is the only thing. So when we take over, we'll be very, very conscious of that, and we'll show examples, even in these ministries that are and agencies that are responsible for that, and we'll hold them accountable. So we have areas where we can revisit, even our maritime. And let's revisit that. We used to be number 1, we're number 3 now. We can revisit that and provide jobs. We have people in our foreign, we have our partners, even in the US and India. Let me give you one example. India has a population of 1.4 billion, but India is providing food to feed us. There's something wrong with that. We have 5.2 million. They have 1.4 billion. They can feed themselves and send food to feed us. There's something wrong with that. So what do? We reach out to them, come and show what you're doing. They are willing to come and teach us and invest in our economy as well. When we bring them, they're going to show us how, and they're going to come and do mechanized farming in our business as well. But one thing I learned through my research and my talk with them, the government of India, and I know we'll talk about agriculture, I'm going to put that in there because that will be another form of job creation. You know? So, but I'm going to leave that when we get it. I will tell you how we gather. But we will be able to do those things. We will create a job, giving incentives to business that will come in the country. We'll visit our visa program for investors to come in. And we'll try our hardest to make our economy friendly, business friendly. Because currently, there are businesses who are afraid to come here because of our current government does not have a good record in creating that condition for businesses. So we will create a business-friendly environment where investors will come and invest. And we'll also be able to put our young people to work by creating developmental projects.
Thank you, General Colley. To move on, please forget that the people in the public sometimes are interested in the how. It's a good thing for all of us to speak the way we speak, but sometimes the people are interested in the how, and probably sometimes we want to be more practical in terms of telling us exactly the institutions you will set up to do what you say you will do. Next 5 minutes.
Thank you. Speaking as Liberia incoming 25th President of Liberia, I, Sheikh Ali Mustafa Kouyaté, if I'm elected as President of this country, the first thing we're doing in order to boost our economy will be to develop skillful citizenry. We will train the citizenry of our country, not just the youth, even the disabled community will be included in that. To have an inclusive empowerment program where we train our citizenry to become useful and prepare for jobs creation. Secondly, we want to introduce a policy that will be referred to as total liberalization policy. In this policy, we will focus on the industrialization of agriculture and mining sectors. We will ensure that our farmers will be given support, and we encourage international partners and local investors to cooperate with our farmers so that we will be able to have 5 rice mill plants in Liberia, since rice is a staple food. And each of the region will have 1. And we will ensure the government of Liberia, under my leadership as president of this country, we will provide support for our farmers to give them equipment and to ensure that we have where the transport from the farm to the city, that the companies that we established for milling the rice, they and our local farmers will have a partnership. When the man harvests, he has a place to sell the rice. And when the rice is sold to that manufacturing plant, they will mill the rice and sell it locally on our market. That is our plan when it comes to agriculture in improving our economies. We are known as a country that has huge deposit of natural resources. Our gold and diamond are leaving this country without any trace, without any account. We will ensure that we have a gold mining, a gold refinery company in Liberia. We should be a PPP, private-public partnership, to have a law to ensure that every mineral in this country that includes iron ore, we must have 30% industrialized in our country when the iron ore company. So when I become president, we will revisit all the concession agreements, all those that have contract to take iron ore from here or elsewhere. You must have an industry in this country, or the Liberian government will establish through partnership with private institutions to establish Liberia's steel manufacturing factory. And we will ensure that all of those who have signed concession agreements, 30% of iron ore must be prepared or industrialized in Liberia. We should create jobs for those young people, those citizens of our country that have already been trained in accordance with our first plan. Thirdly, we will ensure to have a reform, a judicial reform, that will strengthen accountability. And the fourth thing will be, we will have an experienced person to serve as a Minister of Finance and Development, so that that person becomes a direct advisor to me as the president of this country, knowing very well that Sheikh Ali Mustafa Kuyat as the president alone cannot do it. But when I'm surrounded by people who have the capacity and expertise, we can make our country a better place. And in conclusion, I want to say to you that Liberia is a great country that has the first resource that we have is we have 65% of our young people, our population who are young people. That alone is an advantage for us. Secondly, we have fertile soil for agriculture. And thirdly, we have natural resources that can sustain this country, where we do not have to go out there like other price government to seek for foreign aid. Under my administration, Liberia will not be running out there for foreign aid, but Liberians will make this country great, and it should be great for every one of us through industrialization of agriculture and mining sectors. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you, candidate Chef Koyate. Let's listen to the next candidate. Improving the Liberian economy, honor Dr. Clarence Monoba as President of Liberia. And policy.
Again, thank everybody for the opportunity to be able to talk about how we want to move our country forward, because I think that's the most important thing. And that's what makes this debate so important. I've been blessed. I've been to almost 50 countries in my life, and Liberian people work as hard as anybody. We are as smart as anybody. It's just the leadership that we sometimes lack in this country to truly move our economy forward. There's no reason Sierra Leone and Ghana, places like that, should be doing better than us here in Liberia. Absolutely no reason. And so when we talk about how we can move this country forward, especially from the economic side, I think we have to go to the very basics. Liberia is one of the few countries that when we want rice, we don't go to our lands. We go to the free port and we look on the water and ask the question, when is rice coming? We have Bon County, Lofa, Babulu, Kipma, all these counties behind us, but we go to Freeport and ask the question, when is rice coming? Under a Moniba-led administration, we'll be very clear how we want to move the country forward. There are 15 counties in Liberia, and every single county in this country will be responsible to become a food production zone. So I'll give you an example. You will go to Lofa, Bon, Babulu, Kipma, Bomi, and say they will produce all of the rice that the people of Liberia will be able to eat. You go to Nimba, you go to Granjide, and you say you will grow cocoa, you will grow cassava. You go to the southeast, Bitabo and pepper. We import millions of dollars every single year from Guinea and other places in pepper. Why? Are you trying to tell me that the people of Liberia cannot grow pepper? You go to Pasa, you go to River Cess, you have to grow vegetables, fruits, etc. We must become a food producing country. We must be able to sustain ourselves in terms of food. When you go to education and skills, the models have been very simple, and Germany is a country that we need to learn from. We need to focus on ensuring, and with God's blessing and with the people of Liberia's support, we need to ensure that every single person who graduates from high school has 2 years of technical and vocational training. So when you graduate from high school, you're not just a high school graduate with a diploma. In your one hand, you have your diploma. In the other hand, you have been trained as a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a mason, a caterer, something, so that you would then be able to not only create your own job and sustain yourself, but everybody can join hands to build the country. Several countries have done that. If we make thousands and then ultimately millions of Liberian people in this country have skills, we'll be able to transform the country by growing our economy. We'll be able to export people out of this country. Even when I served as chairman of LEC, we sometimes had to import skilled workers from Ghana and other countries simply because the Liberian people did not qualify under the World Bank regulations or under EU regulations for the qualifications to do simple things that Liberian people should be doing. So from a youth perspective, every single person in high school will receive 2 years of technical vocational training that will ultimately go to the economy and ensure that we have skilled workers, not only to develop our country, but also export so we can start to travel. When you look at the tourism sector, it's a shame that Liberia right now does not have one of the best surfing destinations in the world. Liberia was named, Cape Mount Roberts was named the best place to surf in Africa. Yet there's no economic activity there, barely in it. Immediately we'll pass executive order, we'll open visa on arrival here in Liberia. Other countries such as Kenya has done that. You should be able to come to Liberia and spend your money. We should not make it difficult to come to our country. We have to open up the economy. That's one. Even when you transition to maritime, we are one of the top 3 flag-carrying countries in the world in terms of ships. Why do we not have thousands of our Liberian people working on every ship that carries the Liberian flag? Why are we just getting pennies on the dollar for every dollar that maritime makes? These are things that we have to be very clear about. If we want to move this country forward, we have to change the way we think. We have the skills, we have the talent, we have the resources, but we do not have the leadership, because the problem in Liberia is that we do not implement and we do not hold people accountable, especially when it comes to corruption, especially when it comes to implementing projects around the country. So those are some ways. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk further about other sectors so we can go more in detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidate Monoma. Let's get to Councillor Yofi. The Liberian economy, your programs and policy to grow our economy under the administration.
I'm beginning to understand why our country Liberia is backward. Most of our leaders only speak from the periphery. I will build skyscrapers in the sky. They don't tell you how they are going to accomplish that. We step-by-step approach they are going to engage in order to actualize their vision. They don't tell you that. We from the Liberian Party will tell you how we are going to accomplish it. In order to improve the economy of Liberia, we must first accept why is the economy not growing? Why is the economy of Liberia backward? We will first do an assessment, and that we have done. We have noticed that one major reason why the Liberian economy is not growing because of 3 major things: unnecessary borrowing, high importation of goods and services, rampant corruption. But because of that, I will zero in on how we can rebuild our economy to generate sufficient money. Tourism. And in order to do that, we have to detach culture affairs and tourism away from the Ministry of Information. Because the Ministry of Information is only focusing on political activity, and our culture and tourism industry are dying in this country. our staple food from abroad. Statistics have shown that we spend up to 300 million annually just to import rice in this country. That's what I told you, one of the major reasons for the decline in our economy is high importation, less exportation. So, since our major staple is rice, we are going to focus on rice production. Now, your question will be, how do we do it? We are going to establish a tripartite committee. The importers, the government, and the Liberian farmers. I heard one politician say, we will bring people into this country to come and grow food for us. That is kind of a dependency syndrome. We keep bringing to our country. We want other people to do the job for us. And at the end of the day, they take all the money away from our country and they end up in other foreign countries. We will not allow that to happen. As I said earlier, it's a partner committee, the government on one hand, the importers of rice on one hand, and the Liberian farmers. How are we going to further do it? The government and the importers are going to have an agreement where the government and the importers will pool resources to bring in tractors and other farming tools and implements, clear the land for the farmers with the proviso that we enter an agreement that all the rest produced by the farmers will be purchased by the importers. Now I want you to get the crux of the matter. The importers are very important. If we don't include them, our whole dream is going to fail, and I'm going to tell you that later. But when we have this tripartite committee, we're going to make sure we clear the land for our farmers. We give them the necessary tools and implements. We are going to provide the best grade of sea rice that can grow in this country. And then our farmers are going to produce. The importers will buy from them. And the importers will now be responsible to bag them and sell them at a predetermined cost so that they don't overcharge our people. When that is done, we are going to fight to provide sufficient food for our people in this country. But this is how it's going to be. The reason why you avoid the importers because they are the ones in the district. They are importing and they have generated millions of dollars. So any attempt to leave them out will create a fuel disaster. If we have time, I'm going to elaborate on that. But this is how we want to do it. Say in the first year, if the Liberian farmers are able to produce 200,000 bags of rice, and the importers are going to be the ones who are going to purchase from them, they will then reduce their importation correspondingly. In other words, they will reduce their importation by 200,000 bags of rice in order to inculcate the number of bags produced by the Nigerian farmers so that there won't be a reduction on the market, not an overflow. There will always be an equilibrium. Say the following year, the Nigerian farmers are able to produce 500,000 bags of rice. The importer will correspondingly reduce their importation by 500,000.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Please clap for the candidates. Clap for them, please. They have spoken about what the different administrations will do to improve the Liberian economy. We move on to our next discussion and we'll begin right with him. This one is going to be 3 minutes. 3 minutes each. National security, justice and law. National security, justice and the rule of law. Honor the administration. Let's hear you. 3 minutes.
Justice and the rule of law.
You know, justice has a system of peace. In order for peace and tranquility to reign in a country, there will be justice. Without justice, there will be no peace and tranquility in a nation. In order for justice to prevail in the land,
the actors that are responsible for investigating crimes and punishing crimes should be very, very active. That is to say, we have the police, we have the courts, and we have the correction. Most of the time, we are very proactive in sending people to jail, but we forget the aspect of rehabilitating them. So, for example, you incarcerate a man for 7 years because of crime he committed, very fine. But as we incarcerate them, we forget about them. 30 years later, with all rehabilitation whatsoever, he comes out of incarceration after 7 years, not rehabilitated, not given any skill. He becomes 2 times more dangerous than ever before. And then you bring him into society because he has set his name for prison. And then he begins to inflict his venom on the population. What we are going to do, we are going to ensure that we reform our judiciary. And to do that, we need to reduce the trial time. We will reduce the trial time so we don't have sufficient time in order for me to elaborate. Reduce the trial time, train the law enforcement officer. We are going to ensure that we create an intermediary. We are going to make sure we establish intermediary appeal courts so that not every appeal coming from second court will go directly to the Supreme Court, because we have a lot of backloads of cases on the docket for 4 or 5 years that cannot be adjudicated. Where there is no justice, there will be no peace. So we want to create opportunity for justice to be speedy and to be achievable. So these intermediary courts will hear most of the appeal cases, except wherein the appeal cases are based on the constitutionality of the land. Then such cases will not go up to the Honorable the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. Otherwise, those intermediary appeal courts are going to adjudicate those matters, and solution therefrom will not be for appeal to the Honorable Supreme Court. So in other words,
thank you, sir. I understand you're a lawyer. Let's stick to the time, please. National Security, candidate Dr. Clarence Monova, Justice and the Rule of Law. National Security. Let's hear you, 3 minutes.
Again, thank you for that. I said before that our challenge in Liberia is Liberia has some of the best laws, not only in Africa but in the world. There's no law in Liberia that says corruption is legal, yet it happens almost every single day. There's no law that says that rape is legal, yet in Liberia when people rape, we normally say, oh, let's go to the Palawa hut, that the devil fool him, let's go talk in the Liberian way. So it's the implementation and the accountability that is troubling our economy, is troubling our justice system, is troubling every factor and facet of our society. What we have to do is we have to first, when we look at justice, peace, security, the first thing we have to do is to really recognize that we are not treating our civil servants fairly, we are not treating the police officers fairly, we are not treating our immigration officers fairly. There's no way in good conscience we can be delayed on the salary of a security officer 2 or 3 months, the police officer, paying him $150, $160. Don't pay him for 2 or 3 months, and then you expect that person to be able to go to the community and risk it, put their lives on the line to protect the community. It's not going to happen. Even when we look at the judges, how much do we truly pay the judges who are supposed to arbitrate the laws in this country? We don't pay them. We pay them very little. We don't support them. We don't give them proper training. Even when you go back to the police officers and the immigration officer, we don't give them proper training. We don't facilitate them. So we are not investing in the security sector in this country. And then we have people who say, buy CCTV when there's no electricity all over the country. Listen, in order to change this country, Liberians, we are hard to hear, but we are very quick to learn. Let me ask the question, Who has gone to jail in Liberia for corruption over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years, over the last 15 years? Yet again, corruption happens over and over again. So the rule of law, in terms of security, in terms of justice, it boils down to the simple fact we need the political will to implement the rules that are already standing. We put people in jail, we make them to pay restitution, whether they are selling drugs or being corrupt. You will immediately see that the Liberian people say, this thing is serious now, my hand is up. But if somebody steals in Liberia, what do we say? That a man turned to a job, that embezzlement, your leading man, Liberia, that elephant meat. How do we expect to implement any type of rule of law? How do we expect to keep the rule of law if we continue to allow practices that continue to harm our country? So again, going back to rule of law, security, everything else that boils down to the political will and the ability for the leadership to implement the laws of this country.
Thank you, Candidate Clarence Dr. Morula. Short Koyate, 3 minutes. What will you do to improve national security of our country as far as justice and the rule of law is concerned?
As president of Liberia, 25th president, the first thing that we do to strengthen the national security of our country will be judiciary reform. To ensure that we'll have a system where we will have laws, they will have institutions responsible for this. But as president of this country, to use my authority to enforce the execution to ensure the implementation of all of our judicial programs. 2, we will ensure that every law enforcement officer is well trained and well paid. When you pay a police officer now $90 and you expect this person to arrest a criminal that has stolen $10,000 and this criminal has offered the officer $150, how do you expect that officer to arrest that criminal that is just paying just that time? Do we have a policy that reward officers who fight, who provide or who bring forward cases of such? I remember 3 years ago, a police officer arrested a vehicle around Vamoma. This vehicle had Liberian dollars, over 300,000, it had US dollars. When the police officer stopped the gentleman, the person that had the money called one of the bosses, and the bosses just told him to release him. When we have a system of government where you say that every police officer should become whistleblower, that is to say that no one is above the law. I can tell you for sure that we will have a security in this country that will solve the state. But today, I was in the southeast. I realized the entire southeast has less than 5 vehicles. Today, we are having election. The ruling party has over 100 vehicles. The national security do not even have 50 vehicles in total. How do you expect to have a security in this country to protect lives and property when security itself are vulnerable? I do believe, as president of this country, and I'm speaking as a presidential candidate, knowing very well that I will be elected by Liberian people. When I'm elected by our people, I will ensure that civil servants, including law enforcers, the minimum salary that will be given will be $250, believing that our economic programs will be able to support them with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, candidate Koyate. Let's move on to the next candidate, national security, referencing justice and the rule of law.
I've always told people, in order to have equal justice.
Is that okay? Go ahead.
I've always said, in order to have equal justice, there must be equal opportunity. If there's no equal opportunity, you will never have equal justice. another thing. And again, we want to make sure in order to have that equal opportunity, like I said earlier, Liberia is not a poor country. Liberia just managed poorly. We'll be able to, to invest in the policing. We've had opportunity to visit countries where even the little child, with the growth, the first thing they want to become is policeman. I mean, even my son was growing up, said, Dad, I want to be a policeman. That's what they do. Why? Because the police in other countries are respected. They have really, invested into the policing and so forth. And we can do that here. That we can all agree here on this table that we have an enforcement problem. And we will bring that to the table. But we must first invest in our police, our military as a whole. Even I'm sure we have, we try to decentralize the military and have battalions all over the country. If not, we'll do that. If it is, then empower them, strengthen them. I mean, the people at the border, a few months ago, we had a container of over $100 million worth of drugs. How did it get here? It passed through our border. So if the man is not paid well, you would just allow him to fly. But one thing we need to do also, even the whole drug thing we see around here, one thing we need to do, if there's a law, then we enforce it. If not, next one is the whistleblowing law. Even our community, somebody want to say, oh, if you tell the police what happens, they sell drugs, when they come for you, they'll kill you and all your family. So there will be whistleblower protection. We have to make that a possibility. When we look in even our communities, we see even the home, we try to make sure we provide education in the home, because if the drug seller is going out, the first person that will have people is their mother, their father. Create some even in schools where you teach people how to adhere to the rule of law. Even let's not talk about the judges, but we can handle this thing at the community level. Where we can teach our children, we can tell them to respect the police. We will have stringent measures. If you touch any policeman, if you assault any policeman, you have a different thing different penalty that will come on you. You to even think about touching policemen, you will think twice. But we don't have those laws in place. If we do, then we enforce it and strengthen those areas. We want to be, once we do that, justice, national security, and the rest, the rule of law, will find a place in our hearts. Because those are the people who enforce the law, the police people. So that's how we're going to do that. We're going to make sure we have the home a part of it, our parents, our mother, the school.
Thank you, candidate colleagues. Your 3 minutes is gone. Let's go to candidate David G.B. Kiamu. National security, human rights, not human rights, national security, justice, and the rule of law.
My message since this morning has been that Liberia is a country without solid foundation. That's why we are not thriving. Nations that thrive, they thrive on honesty, obedience to the rule of law, justice, respect for the dignity of other human beings. When we lay these foundations, Liberia will thrive under a David Kiamu-led government. Here's what we will do. First, we will begin with cleaning up our justice system, our judicial system. I said earlier that it's not only enough to have capacity, you need to have character. It looks to me like our justice system does seem to have a lot of people with capacity, but lack moral character. We need to start from there. Clean up the justice system. Fire the people without character. Look for the people with character, with integrity. Put them in the justice system so that we make justice work for everybody. It shouldn't be a buddy thing. No. People who have credentials but don't have character, let's get them out of the system. If they are willing to change, let them change. And based on character, we keep them in the system. Secondly, we need to make sure we put money into law enforcement. If we are serious about security, let's provide the logistics for our police officers. We got the money to do it. The reason we're not doing it is, again, the people who are managing the money of the country don't have fiscal discipline. They do have credentials, but they lack character. Everything falls on this character thing. Let's find the right people. Let them take over law enforcement in our country. Then we look into our budget and increase the budget, for security. If we pay our security personnel well, they have good housing, good uniforms, logistics, vehicles, we raise their morale, then the communities will be protected. But if the morale for security is low, because we have people overseeing our finances, taking money because they don't have the discipline to manage our economy, and that's a problem. So that's where I will start from.
Thank you. Councillor Tiawon Singh Donglo.
Thank you. Lord.
National security, justice, and the rule of law.
So national security involves external security and internal security. We don't have any external security problem. Nobody has ever attacked us. Sierra Leone has never attacked us. Guinea has never attacked us. Ivory Coast has never attacked us. They will never do so. So we don't have external security problem. We only have internal security problem. And it is because of lack of respect for the rule of law, or the lack of willingness of party leaders to actually govern by the rule of law. Now, one of the internal security problems we have is actually food insecurity. April 14 caused this country to change. So one of the things I want to do is to actually deal with the food security issue that some people were in the economy earlier on. I want one of my government to have a plan to buy rice producing machines to divide it among the farmers in the 15 counties through the farmers cooperatives to produce more food everywhere, rice. But more than that, I want to instruct the military through the chief of staff to use the agriculture and engineering battalion with machines to produce not less than 100 acres of rice each of the 15 counties. We will definitely have enough rice, and the price of rice will be low. In terms of adherence to the rule of law, we'll issue 2 executive orders. One, that any official government that interferes with police operation will be dismissed and charged with obstruction of government function. We issue another executive order specifically for protecting the independence of the judiciary as well. Now, anybody who interferes with the court, from the magistrate to the Supreme Court, will be dismissed and charged with obstruction of justice. But more than that, we'll monitor the judiciary as well. And monitor, we use our intelligence agencies to monitor both the police and the judiciary. In terms of the police, we'll issue in our executive order that the people of Liberia have a right to monitor the police, so that the case in America, the George Floyd case, if that 17-year-old girl was not monitoring, the police will have come up. So the citizens of Liberia have a right to videotape all police officers and law enforcement officers in their work to make sure there's integrity in the process. So rule of law is everything. We talk about justice, national security. Those are all rule of law issues. The law must be applied to everyone equally. Everyone must be below the law. Recently, we saw in America, former president of the United States being fingerprinted and going through the legal process. That's what they call it, rule of law. It must be equally applied to everyone. I have been in the rule of law.
Councillor Donglo, thank you so much. 3 minutes is over. We say it, we mean it. That is why it is a debate. Stick to the time. Let's hear you. Allen R. Brown Jr., what will you do? National security, human rights.
Security.
Not human rights, national security, justice, and the rule of law will come to human rights. Are you concerned about it? How? What will you do?
Security and justice are inextricably intertwined. There must be a restoration of confidence in leadership in this country. As your president, I will lead by example. Because people listen to words, but what they follow is what you do. And I will lead by example. Part of my platform talks about how I will deal with corruption, security, and the rule of law. I will appoint judges that are competent, meaning that they understand the subject matter of the law. If they make a mistake, it won't be because they don't know what they're doing. I will appoint judges that have character and personal integrity. What you gain from money, you can sell for money. What you gain from your integrity, conviction, you don't easily go against your conviction. It stays with you. Thirdly, I will appoint judges that have compassion for others. If there's a felon that is demonstrably contrite, it's likely that there's some sort of compassion that's allowable under the law and that the judges will look at. This is a systemic issue. Most importantly, I will not interfere. I repeat, I will not interfere with the judiciary. I will allow them to do their job. Part of the problem is when you have an executive overlapping to the judiciary. I won't do that. The executive branch will be led by example. And then the last thing is compensation. I will make sure that I compensate the people in security. That means I'm going as far back as the retired military personnel and police officers to make sure that we set an example that will allow for recruitment. And before Clarence kicks me out, I can say that's good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Kenneth Appleton, let's hear you. Don't worry, Mr. Brown. Once you leave, confirm it with time, you'll be okay.
Thank you. I think I must agree with most of my colleagues that integrity, accountability are very important when it comes to the establishment of rule of law. And we have to do a review of our judicial system. That is very important. We do have some very good lawyers in this country, but the grassroots development movement will first look at the framework in terms of code of conduct. We will reevaluate the grievance and ethics committee, for example. We want to ensure that those who are involved with law enforcement will conform to their code of ethics and will be held accountable for lack of conformance. Corruption impedes that. Lawlessness, lack of public confidence in our security sector. These are things we have to be concerned about. On our administration, there will be an executive order as part of our 100-day plan to ensure that all civil servants pay above current. That includes our law enforcement and security sector employees. We have to strengthen our border security. We have to ensure that our police are well trained, are provided with the tools and equipment and the logistics. We have to crack down on corruption and have stiff penalties for those involved in corruption. We also have to restore public confidence in our police and security sectors. Judicial system reform is very important in this country, but there is no level of accountability. We know that we do have the separation of powers. notwithstanding, we must ensure that we have credible people within our judicial system. Like one of my colleagues alluded to, you cannot have a judge making laws. The judge has to interpret the law as written. But judges are making laws based on what they can receive because they are not well paid. So we must be serious about ensuring that for government to function properly, people have to get paid. They have bills to pay. And if you don't pay the police, you don't pay our judicial or the people working in the judiciary, even in the national legislature, if you're not paying these people, there will be corruption and it will erode the rule of law.
Thank you.
The system.
Thank you. I want you to please clap for candidates. They're doing well in some way. We have heard from them on the policies, what will be the policies on national security, justice, and the rule of law. Now we'll start from candidate Appleton. Each of you will jointly address the issue of agriculture and education. Your policy for agriculture and education, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Let's talk about your policy on agriculture and education.
Thank you very much. It's well known that we have an agrarian economy, meaning that most of the people in the economy are involved with agriculture. So the way we conduct agriculture in Liberia is rudimentary. There has to be a metamorphical change in the way we conduct agriculture. We must be able to identify our farmers. We must be able to know where they are. We must be able to do a reassessment of our soil. We must get the best agronomists to do so. Many people think that our soil is rich, but there are different types of soil. We have to know. We also have to ensure that our farmers are provided with the tools and equipment. Under our government, do we have a national policy to mechanize farming in this country? But you will never be successful in agriculture if there are not roads, good roads. Under my administration, we will ensure that we can build these farm-to-market roads because you can plant all the food that you want. If you don't have the roads to take them to the market, you have just wasted your time. So under our administration, with the grassroots development movement in terms of agriculture, we have to reinvest. We have to ensure that, as my colleague stated, every county is producing something. Every county is also provided with the kinds of tools, machinery, know-how, including storage facilities. Most of our food, we produce a lot of food here though, but most of them get spoiled. They barely go to the market because 1, there are no farm-to-market roads. 2, there are no storage facilities. 3, some of our farmers lack the basic training. So in terms of our agricultural plan, we will ensure that we can look locally because we do have many people in this country who are involved in agriculture, but they lack the opportunity, they lack the incentive, they lack the logistics, and under my administration, we will be providing those so that we can grow more food and export what we need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next candidate, agriculture and education. What will your policies be?
With respect to education, my policy will be about making sure that we have an education system that's culturally sensitive and geared towards technology. Technology is the wave of the future. When I say culturally sensitive, for example, learning to read, we can hear our young people will hear sumo and tufo play in the rain. And that's culturally sensitive because all of us play in the rain. And what it does is that it gives our young people a sense of identity and nationalism when they should be nationalistic. And I'm not talking xenophobia here. I'm simply saying we have to have an education system that allows our children to appreciate the uniqueness of our culture, even though we should also be internationalists. Then we talk about technology, and all these are part of my platform, so I would love for you to fact check me. We talk about technology because we live in a world of technology. So we have to have our people educated, our curriculums geared towards technology. The greatest resource that this nation has, I'm on record, is our people. Not even our land, it's our brains, our talent, and that's what I'm all about, developing each and every one of our people, young people, all of you here. Want youth journalists to become Pulitzer Prize winners. Want you lawyers to be renowned, and whoever else you are, whatever you do to make sure that we support you. With respect to agriculture, number one, we have to, the first thing, there will be a few food scarcity in the future, we know that. So we have to make sure that every single acre that we yield, we make sure that we have the highest yield on the planet for whatever we grow. We have the ability to grow everything. So, but our policy has to make sense. Now, the global, I would be focused more on the global economy than even on the local economy. And in my last minute, if Clarence allows me a last minute here, I want to say this. When we focus on the global economy, you're talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Our local economy is minuscule. You automatically grow enough rice and grow enough everything for your local economy. But don't sit and waste time just on the local economy. That doesn't push us in the future that we need. Focus on the global economy. Under my leadership, I can tell people this, apart from the fact that you are going to grow and thrive, and the country is going to thrive, you, Liberians, each and every one of you here today, your lives will change considerably because I'm safeguarding, I'm putting in the safeguards to make sure that when the economy booms, that you rise with the economy. The worst thing that can happen before Clarence talks and kicks me out is for the economy to rise and then the people fall. We don't want that. So with respect to agriculture, that's where I am. Thank you.
Kennedy Brown, that's a good strategy to keep you talking, but unfortunately I'm not a timekeeper. Tiawan Singh Gonglo.
I said a little bit.
Agriculture and education.
I said a little bit about agriculture earlier. In the 1800s, Liberia exported rice. Up to 1950, Liberia did not import rice. But then the young people who were involved in farming left for the rubber plantations and the mining. Then people went to school and all of that. So we mechanized agriculture by, like I said earlier, giving farming machines to the farmers in the 15 counties through the farmers cooperatives, and it will be done on loan through a revitalized agriculture and cooperative development bank. This will also create a lot of jobs. Right? In education, we will provide free education from kindergarten, free compulsory and quality education from kindergarten to 12th grade. We will have free technical and vocational school in the 15 counties for people to learn the different trades, mechanic, tailoring, all of that. And then we eliminate illiteracy in 2 years. How? By giving stipend to students from 7th grade to college level to teach at least 10 illiterate persons in the community every day after school. So this is what we will do in the area of education and agriculture. Thank you.
Wow. Let's hear you.
The former president of Cote d'Ivoire, Houphouët Boigny, said a nation that cannot feed itself is not independent or is not free. So I really can't say Liberia is a free country because right now we're not feeding ourselves.
When I am president, I will influence policy that will suggest that we become a nation that feeds itself. And no Liberian should be hungry in a country where we have all these land where we can grow food and the grass is green all year round. So here's my plan. Here's how I'm going to do it. Myself, I'm an agriculture student also. Graduated from the Booker Washington Institute, and I did agriculture, so I'm in farming as well. Here's what I intend to do. We will regionalize food production. We will divide the country up into regions, and we will ask each of the regions to form agricultural cooperatives, and these agricultural cooperatives will have farm implements that will be given to them, like one of my colleagues said, on a loan basis, and they will be producing cassava. Region 2 will be producing rice. Region 3 will be producing whatever we will be producing, and we will help